Do I have to be super bubbly?
We have to do the greeting.
Hey, YouTube, how guys?
We have to do the greeting that we've done on all of our videos for the past 6-7 years.
Fine. Shut up. Let's do it. Namaste. This is Jeff.
This is David.
Hi, David.
Hi, Jeff.
Why are we talking about Dark Souls again?
Because we need to do this so
we've done it in science. We've condensed it. We will. Yes. We've done science and we've narrowed it down. Don't watch other videos on the internet that claim this spurious format. We'll give you the real answers. We have it here.
We talked about it.
Top 11, mostly integers. The top 11.
Dark Souls bosses. Yes.
What is number 11?
No, number 11 is honorable mention toss-up between Fume Knight and
a blank entry. Yes. it was neck and neck, but in the deliberations it was finally decided that that these had to be at the bottom of the list.
Right.
But, neck and neck.
Neck and neck.
Because as we all know, the Fume Knight has a neck. Number 10
would be the cursed
rotted
Greatwood.
You did number 11. I went to number 10.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Let's try
that. Let's try it again.
Okay. Number 10. Cursed Rotted Greatwood for Dark Souls 3. This is a great fight because it is extraordinarily weird.
Yes.
You have a great place. It's a wide open place to work with. There's ads, and technically they keep coming, but you have so much room to work with. And there's this creepy tree thing, and there's like pus sacks, and it's got like 4 legs, and then it explodes, and you fall, and then it has a weird arm thing. It is great and disturbing, and you accidentally smush one of the NPCs because it's Dark Souls, and they hate you as a player.
Wait, what?
I mean, yeah, that's what happens. Like, one of the NPCs you need in order to get into the Covenants is underneath the Cursed Rotted Greatwood, and if you go through the fight before talking to him, he gets mushed and killed.
Oh, that's awesome! I didn't know that.
Okay, all right, number 9.
Number 9. Demon of...
Number of 9.
I was looking at it. All right, number 9. Demon of Song from Dark Souls 2. So why is this on the list, Jeff?
Okay, you're just tossing it right back.
This is the boss you liked.
I know. This okay. All right. I will look with you. It is a great boss because, much like number 10, it is extremely weird. It gets points for atmosphere. It sings to you like an anglerfish. It's got a weird skull face. It's gigantic. It's extremely creepy and fairly unique. As far as the boss designs go, there's not a lot, or even generally in, I'd say, video games, there's not a lot of giant frog demons. I guess you did fight, let's say Blaster Master 1 and then this. There you go.
Okay,
number 8.
At number 8, Executioner's Chariot from Dark Souls 2.
I thought we were going to trade off, but I also really like this one.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. I'll just keep talking. I really like the Executioner's Chariot because, like number 9 and number 10, it's super weird. This is the weird block right at the bottom of the list.
Right.
Because it combines different elements of the gameplay into the boss fight experience. So you have to do some like running, which is basically platforming without the horribleness of Bed of Chaos platforming.
Right.
There's still some BS with the infinitely reviving skeletons, but you can kill the people that are reviving them. There's different ways to go about the boss fight. You can slam a door in its face and it falls down an infinite pit, and then you fight a demon horse, which is like the best horse fight in a game since Devil May Cry 3.
Right.
So yeah, it's a weird thing. You can also cheese it by just standing in the corner and shooting it with firebombs until death.
Yes. Multiple ways to beat the boss. And then you get to meet the cool NPC afterwards. So it's good.
Mm-hmm. Number 7.
Gaping Dragon from Dark Souls 1. I'm going to talk about this one.
Okay.
So it has a fantastic intro movie to it. The arena you're fighting it in is interesting. It is a super well-designed, freaky-looking boss with its massive toothy stomach thing. There is like a little bit of BS in there with a sorcerer that shoots at you, but you can easily alleviate it. It really only catches you once if you don't know it's there. You can cut its tail off, so yay. And its attacks are interesting. It can eat you, and it can puke acid, and the charging is interesting too. And yeah, it's just an overall good fight.
Oh, I'm sorry, you're talking about cutting off tails.
I was, but
I started humming a random tune.
Yeah, just
from somewhere.
Apropos of nothing, but no.
It's from number 6. Okay.
Gaping Dragon is a wonderful, wonderful example of a set-piece boss that is interesting to fight, that is not just a set piece, and is not so difficult that it's annoying.
Good story, good environment. It's a package deal.
Speaking of good story, good environment, number 6.
I mean, I feel like this is your boy.
This is also me.
So,
yeah, Kalameet.
This is also your boy.
So Kalameet is a big old dragon that you fight in Dark Souls 2, and it is a fight that, unlike some of the later big dragon fights in the Dark Souls, or the other big dragon fights in the Souls games, this one doesn't spend a whole ton of time airborne or way away from you, because he's got a giant arrow in his side from the blind archer giant who shot him, and it's awesome. The first time I fought and beat Kalameet in the game, I decided I was going to chop off his tail. So I spent a little over an hour doing it because I did not have a good weapon for it, considering what he did, and I had to learn the moves. And in the middle of the fight, and I went through all my Estus and 7 or 8 humanities along the way, because while I enjoy these games, I'm not necessarily the best at them. It was a lot of fun to do that and to go through that whole thing, and it was also so tense by the end of it, but it was wonderful.
I also fought the boss. Number 5.
This is also my boy.
Would you like to talk more about Burnt Ivory King?
I would. So not only is this in the best looking area of Dark Souls 2, Ilium Lois, it is
Lois.
It is my favorite boss fight from Dark Souls 2, period. It is an example of how to in Dark Souls have a multi-opponent boss fight by giving you multiple allies, and you can have the multiple allies because it encourages exploration of the area and re-exploration of the area after things change, and that's awesome. I love that a lot. The area you fight in is aesthetically wonderful.
The old chaos is the best.
Yes.
It's very disturbing.
Now,
it's very hot.
Jeff did not like the actual boss fight itself because it's very much like the Penetrator.
Is very, yes, Demon Souls, Penetrator, like version 2 or version 3 or version 4, whatever version they were on at that time.
But any time that I fought the Ivory King, I always had 1 or 2 allies left at that point. So it was never too big of a deal. And next, we have one of Jeff's favorites.
It's number 4. Also from the best Dark Souls game, Dark Souls 2. It's the Nameless King.
Nameless King isn't from Dark Souls 2.
Oh, right, it's Dark Souls 3.
Yeah.
Dark Souls 2 is the best Dark Souls, though.
It is.
I really like Dark Souls 2.
I know.
Nameless King's actually a pretty good boss, though.
Nameless King is a good boss.
Despite coming from Dark Souls. No. It is a super boss in the sense of like a JRPG sense of a very difficult optional boss. Unlike, let's say, like the Dark Lurker, which is garbage from Dark Souls 2. Dark Souls 3, it's optional. It's a great environment, fairly unique.
Yep.
The atmosphere, the literal atmosphere that you have to walk on after ringing the bell in order to do the fight is great. The multi-phase nature of the fight is why this is not it's not higher
Right.
on the list.
Yeah.
I don't like that style, which they started it. Multi-boss fights have always been around, like even in Dark Souls 1. But like multi-phase, multi-health bars, that started happening more frequently as it went along, and a lot of things are borrowed from Bloodborne, but the actual fight, you have plenty of room to work with, which is great. The first phase of the fight is not too long, and it has a great sort of look to it. It's a very epic fight against an actual dragon rider, so to speak. And then the on-foot sort of mano-a-mano afterwards is great. It is thematic. It is, it plugs the little hole in the lore where it's like, here's a thing that's from the previous games that actually makes sense that it's here in Dark Souls 3 instead of just being pandering, which I appreciate. And then a bunch of moves. Dude's really hard, and he's got like a huge like glaive spear thing.
Yeah,
and there's lightning, and he goes buzz, and then you die.
And then you have to fight the dragon again.
And then you have to fight the dragon for some reason. But that number 3.
Number 3 is Slave Knight Gale from Dark Souls 3. This
is such a great fight.
This is the best boss fight they could have capped the series off with, or the trilogy off with, which some people didn't like it, but it was in a great.
Those people
area.
are wrong.
Yeah, they were wrong. It was in a great area, both from an aesthetic sense and from a an atmosphere sense. It was multi-phase, quote unquote, but it was a single health bar.
Sure.
And like taking him down faster, that aided with dealing with the harder phase, but like the harder phase was not so brutal that it was impossible. And
it is also and this is let's say on the internet commonly levied as a complaint, but again, the internet's wrong, so we're trying to correct some of that. It is just a dude in armor that you're fighting.
Yes,
but
an old angry dude.
He's an old man, and he's super aggressive, and you have like almost infinite space to work with in order to try and figure out where your openings are. And I don't know, his moveset it's like a good balance between the different types of moves that you would want out of a boss, from directional stuff, AoE stuff, combo stuff, just speaking more abstractly about the kinds of things that a boss does, and then it adds all of the rest of them in when it does second phase, where it's like suddenly you also have like environmental hazards where there's just like lightning pouring down, or like magic spam, and like all these other things that in excess in individual fights are rather annoying. And if they're used exclusively, it ends up being a gimmick. If they're used excessively, it just becomes like an annoying slog. I'd say something like, I like the Twin Princes fight, but the second half of that fight is basically just do the first half again, except now a bunch of random spells will occasionally be flying around.
Right.
I mean, okay, I guess. But Gale has the best parts of all of that. It's just a fun fight, and it is very atmospheric.
And it is an excellent way just to end cap the whole thing.
Yeah, to just end all of Dark Souls. It's a great ending as well.
So, number 2.
The one that everyone knows is going to be on the list.
Somewhere. It has to be there.
Somewhere in your mind, you knew this was on there.
Is Ornstein and Smough.
Is how you pronounce it.
Sorry.
Correctly.
Ornstein and Smough.
Thank you.
From Dark Souls 1.
I spent more time co-oping Ornstein and Smough than I spend in most video games just playing it normally. This is also, it's also a time and place thing. It was the first Dark Souls. It's not the first of the Dark Souls style. It was the first one that I was able to actually play, because it was on 360, which is the thing that Americans have. Like me.
Yep.
And I love everything about the summoning co-op system. Like, being able to help someone else through a thing that's very difficult is amazing. And I present just literally hundreds of hours, probably, I don't know, actually know the exact number, spent on Ornstein and Smough exactly alone, helping people. Equal chance of success and failure. So there's a nostalgic component, but it's also, they're very iconic.
Right.
If you want to know how to fight them, write my recommended video.
Yeah,
from this very channel.
From this very channel that started. It was part of the start of a 4 or 5 year process that that ended recently.
Forever and always Dark Souls. Forever Dark Souls.
Ornstein and Smough is also I think the time they got multi-opponent fights in the Dark Souls series the most correct. Because the system does not work too well with it, but this was the first time you dealt with 2 very dangerous opponents in an open arena, not like the Capra Demon fight, that was just bad. But so the arena was big, but you had terrain, so you could try to corral it, and it was a good, really good version of a multi-opponent fight using the Dark Souls combat engine, I guess, but also just the combat ethos of Dark Souls.
The pillars make that a great fight.
Yes.
If it was a blank room without pillars, it would almost be one of the worst. Maybe
it would be the worst, I think, at that point. Because it would have meant that is where I would have stopped playing Souls. Period. So, would you like to take number 1, Jeff?
It's the one that everyone else knows is going to be on the list because it's the right answer, which is Artorias.
Artorius, the Abyss Walker.
Dark Souls 1. Yes, the Abyss Walker from the DLC of Dark Souls 1. Artorius is at the top of the list because he is fun to fight, both solo and co-op. He does not have infinite health. He does not have infinite magic spam. There's a great arena. It's just a flat open arena. It's not that complicated. He has a great story that goes along with him, so the setup is good. And he is just a dude in armor. So actually, maybe he's not actually the best. He's probably number 11. We'll put him down there with Blank. If you think about it, he's just a dude in armor.
He's just a dude in armor. But no, he is... And that cutscene where he first appears is just amazing.
Yep.
Because it's very short.
Stabs dude and throws him at you.
Yeah. And then that dude's body is in the arena when you fight. And it is just top to bottom, like, the best one-on-one fight in Dark Souls.
It's also a pretty good 2-on-1 fight.
It's also a pretty good 3-on-1 fight.
Or 3-on-1 fight, if the 3 or the 2 is on your side.
Yes.
He has just a great set of moves that are fun to dodge instead of frustrating to see.
Right.
So, like, if he's doing, like, his giant, like, jump up into the air and then slam onto the ground attack, a Miyazaki staple, which we might have mentioned a few times. A few of the other bosses on the list also have similar attacks.
Right.
It will probably kill you if it hits you, but it's also fairly obvious when he's doing it.
Right.
So there are ways, like his triple somersault, some of it can get a little spammy, where you're just like, okay, come on, guy, let's stop. But there's also times when he actually stops doing things, so it doesn't seem like he has infinite energy or infinite stamina, especially when he's like charging up his dark shield or
which you can knock him out of.
Yes,
which is another great thing.
Yes, he also has, this is something that happened later on more frequently, but movesets that are a little bit more dynamic in the sense of he'll have combo strings that can be canceled so that he won't fully commit if you yourself are out of position, and he can like dodge roll or do like a swipe and roll out of attacks, and which is kind of the things that you as a player does. It's just on a much bigger scale. So It's a very good It's just this is on the top of the list because he's just a cool dude.
He's a cool dude.
It's basically just a cool dude. And then, of course, number 0 is Learning to Live by Dream Theater. Which have to...
Yes.
Is very definitely on the top of the list. And -1 is Backdoor, which is from Monster Hunter 3 Ultimate and some of the other ones.
I still don't know what that one is. But
it's like a lava lizard thing. And
oh, it's the lava lizard. Okay.
Like a lava lizard, kind of.
That has the lava laser.
It does have a lava laser.
Oh, okay. So, but this isn't Monster Hunter. This is the top 10 bosses from the the 3 Dark Souls games.
Dark Souls is kind of Monster Hunter, but maybe that'll be a video essay for another time.
Maybe for another time. So, if you enjoyed this list, feel free to go to Patreon, where you can support us every month. If you're not able to do that, one-time PayPal tips are also welcome. And if that's not something you can do, just feel free to like, comment, and subscribe, and tell the people about the channel. What?
LCS.
LCS. That is what that stands for.
Who knows? Oh, it could be anything. Maybe it's just an acronym. It's just looks.
It just looks.
It's just looks. Dark Souls.
Dark Souls.